So today in our today's book review, we're talking about the book Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. And this book was like mind-blowing for me. It's a really short read, and it's about two mice and two little people that are in a maze, and they look to find their cheese, which represents their desires in life. And they all have different approaches there, and basically something significant changes, and they all deal different with that change. And we can learn from these four different, let's say, creatures, a lot of things about how different people deal with changes, and how important it is to change. And I'm really, really curious to hear about your impressions and your thoughts about the book, Juan, because like I said, I was mind blown and I totally loved it.
Well, absolutely. And everything that you said is true. My mind was also blown away. And just the messages that were shared in this book, I mean, you would expect something like it would be a fat book or something, but actually it was like the thinnest book you'll ever find. Yeah. So it really, what captivated me was like, oh, it's a short read. Let me take into it. And then because it's a story and people like to, listen to stories in general, not just, do this, but it was just a story. I thought it was beautifully written. And now we just got to talk about some of the reasons why I think people should read this book. I mean, you just finished the book recently.
In the beginning, when I heard the title, I was not too sure if I want to read it or not, because like, what kind of a strange title is that? And it said it's about like management theory. And I was like, oh my gosh, that reminds me about university. And I think it will be like a really dry book. But with that title, I was a little bit confused and like a little bit in between. But then we also talked about it, and you were like, oh my God, you have to read that book. And so I started to read it, or listening to it, because I also I use audiobooks a lot. And like my impression was really, it's such a fundamental topic, which like everyone deals with, not just like manager and entrepreneurs, everyone in life has changes coming up. Like the only thing that's guaranteed in life is that life is changing. Yeah. And we all have to deal with it in different situations. And it's so usable in every area of life. It shows us how you can cope with change, that change is inevitable, and how or what kind of different people they are, how they deal with change, and more or less what the outcome of how people deal with change is. And that was really, really something I totally loved. And I also love that, maybe I'm spoiling a little bit, but one of the little people is writing his learnings on the wall. So every time he learns something or wants to remember something, he's writing them on the wall. Yeah, and exactly. That's really like the sentences that where I'm like, okay, I have to go through the book again and maybe write out these sentences, because they're like the main learnings, I guess.
Yeah, it's we're not really spoiling it. It's just like a summary when you mention one of the characters. I mean, there are 4 characters in this book, right? There's like the 2 little people who are were equipped with this brain. They think of themselves, yes, we got this. We can think, we can analyze. Therefore, we are the superior beings. And then the other 2 characters in this book was just 2 little mice, right? Yeah. And then that just kind of, like you said, it's interesting to see how these 4 individuals just decided to approach things in their own way, right? And the mice, it was cartoonish. Yes, they just smell, they go, they fail, but then they just give up, and then they try to find their way towards finding the cheese, basically. Sometimes I feel like I was watching a movie, because actually there is a movie picture for this as well. So for people who don't even want to read this, there is an animated version on YouTube for free. You don't even have to buy the book. So you can just watch books, basically. That's what it is. And about the change part that you mentioned, what I liked about this book was the thing about the monitoring change, because there was this part in the book. Who was that character again? Was it him or her?
Which one of them? Like
One
ham?
of there were, yeah, I think it was the guy that kept constantly like kept tracking of how much cheese was in his domain. He kind of just always kept looking. It's like, okay, this is how much I have. This is how much I have this day. This is how much I have this day. Like he just keeps looking at the change. And then the other guy says, nah, it will always be there, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I think the one who is resistant to change is ham, and the other one who is changing is ha.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So then the monitor change part, I think I'm pretty sure everyone has dealt with this at some point where you kind of just think, oh, this is happening. It'll kind of just stay like this forever. We kind of don't see something else. The changes that are happening, right? And then that's one of the big takeaways that I got from that book. It's like, just like be on the lookout, because yes, things are like okay for now, but it will not always be like that. So just always keep monitoring so that you're not surprised. Yeah, that was one of those things that I got from the book. But I mean, Xenia, you're an entrepreneur. How did this book kind of help you with your business, for example?
So, like what really helped me was the perspective of the mice, because the book describes it that they never got rid of their running shoes. So they always had their running shoes like on their neck, and they were always ready to go running again. And they were aware that the cheese is getting less and less, and that they maybe need to like go again. And that's the problem. What most of us do, we are not ready for the change, because like we know that change is coming, but we're still stuck in our comfort zone, and we don't want that change to happen. And as an entrepreneur, we actively need to do exactly that. We need to know change is coming, and we need to be ready, and we need to analyze and do market research for trends. And we always need to force ourselves to get out of our comfort zone, not just business-wise, but also personally-wise, because the moment we stop growing, we are losing. And that was something I knew before, but with that book, I got kind of like the awareness back, how important this is. And something else that came up for me when you were describing the little people and the mice, that the little people thought they were like superior and like they have their brain and everything. What they also always mentioned in the book was that they had their beliefs.
Yeah.
That was like true. The whole mindset part, because I'm also like a lot into mindset and do mindset coaching and stuff with my clients. I know that these beliefs and this brain we're having is not always good. I mean, we're the only species that can think about our thoughts, and that's amazing. That's why we are where we are. But with our beliefs and everything we learned and our patterns we're having, it sometimes blocks us. And that was also something that was really interesting, that the superior brain has its advantages, but it can also have disadvantages with our belief systems that can maybe keep us stuck.
Yeah.
What are your experiences with that?
I think that's a really, really good point that you mentioned right there about the beliefs part. Because the people that in this book that did not want to change, they did not want to. They already had, no, this is how it should be. Why do I need to like look for new cheese, right? And then cheese is this metaphor for why do I need to look for the thing that makes me happy? I already have it here, and it won't change or anything. But the beliefs, that things will remain the same, nothing's gonna change. It's also a fear, and some people are just afraid of change. And throughout this book, right, you mentioned like the guy that actually like had the courage to go out of his comfort zone into the maze to look for his metaphorical cheese. He kind of just was writing down notes like what he was learning along the way. And then I think one of the first ones, it's just the first step was, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's like
a lot of things can just come up with that.
yeah, like that's the power move question we all should ask ourselves.
Yeah.
And then whatever the answer is, we should go for it, because that's really what we desire, and that's really how we should live life. Because like fear is just holding us back to be our most authentic and self and live up to our fullest potential. And what came after this sentence on the wall was the feeling that that was described after he overcame this fear. It was like, that's such an amazing feeling. And what is on the other side of fear feels so much more amazing than everything until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as a personal example I can think of that was just, and I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to. Which is a lot of people just want to have their full-time job so that they can feel secure. And that's totally understandable. I'm one of those persons. I need to, everyone's got bills to pay. And that fear that I don't want to lose that safety net, so that I can try something new with business, with real estate investing, with stock investing. And it wasn't until like I hang out with people like you, for example, Celia, who do coaching about how to just empty out those limiting beliefs that make you see the possibility. And then, what is it that I'm afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of going full-time with my business. Why? Because I want to make sure I have some money coming in. But that's precisely the thing that I need to face then. But then after you do it little by little, and then read books like this, which is what we're doing with the review, it just makes you see that possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
And this book, I mentioned in the beginning, or we touched on that point a lot, that it's a short read. It's a short read. It's not like a thick book with a lot of different theories and dry, as I thought in the beginning. And it's just that great analogy we use a lot with like children's books. That it's just like a story, and you can just feel into each of these characters, and you understand the topic and what's going on there without all of the theoretical heaviness. And that's, I think, what makes this book such a great read.
Exactly. I mean, just to wrap it up for anyone watching this video, regardless of whether you're in business, really, I think even if it's just with your career as well, if you just want to better develop skills, is another takeaway from this is that the quicker you let go of like old cheese, right? Then the sooner you can enjoy the new cheese. The problems that you're facing right now will not be solved at the same level of thinking you were at. You need new thinking, and you need like new change. And this goes, again, not just for business people, this goes for any other career out there. And it's just short, like you said. It's just short. I mean, even kids can watch this, right? I think kids can can just can watch the animated video and just get the point.
Definitely. Yeah. It's I think there's not too much more to add. It's a great read. It's a short read. It's mind-blowing how short you can learn everything you need to learn about the topic of change in its foundation. And I think I said it to you, Juan, I will definitely give this book away as a gift a lot now, because I think it's mind-blowing and life-changing. And it's definitely something everyone should read.
Absolutely. And with that, guys, that was our review for Who Moved My Cheese. Who was the author on this again?
Dr. Spencer Johnson.
There we go, doctor. He's a doctor. So trust the doctor's advice on this one, guys. We hope you like the review. And we're going to be making a lot more. This is one of the first reviews that we're going to be making in the future as well. So stay tuned. Anything that you learned, just share it down in the comments, and we'd love to hear also from you guys as well.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get notified with all of the other book reviews if you like this one.
Absolutely. Nonfiction, self-help, business, money. That's what we're all about.
Exactly.
Take care, guys. And Xenia, let's keep doing this more often.
Definitely. We will. Bye, guys.